Hello Dino Peeps! So this has happened. 2 days ago this game was released on Steam. The name of the game is Athos, and the gameplay concept feels quite familiar to me. But what's the deal with this game? Let's take a closer look. First of all, I don't think it's such a bad thing for games like ARK to get a bit of competition. ARK set off a wave of Dinosaur games, and it will continue to do so in the future. So far, none of these games has come as close to ARK as Athos did. But let's see how close the gameplay is to ARK. And let's start with the gameplay options: single player, shared single player, LAN, or server. Currently there are 4 official servers with a handful of players and some private servers. In the single player mode, you can adjust the rates, which you can't change later in the game. At least I couldn't find a way to do it. The character editor is straight broken. The character's appearance changes, but you won't see the changes until you're in the game yourself. So the menu buttons just break right away. So it's going to be a surprise in the game. In the game itself, if you're an ARK player, you'll quickly find your way around. However, it feels quite unpolished overall. The movement, the animation, you just can't run and gather resources. You have to aim precisely at the objects you want to pick up with this little dot here, and all in all, it's very clunky. And you cannot turn off motion blur. I apologize to all people with motion sickness. I suffer from it myself, so we're going through this together now. The settings are straightforward, and these are the settings for the gameplay. Next, you see the graphics settings screen, nothing groundbreaking, but it covers all the essentials. Unfortunately, like I said, nothing for motion blur. And here you have the audio settings. I've turned down master volume all the way down to spare your ears. The music is off because I'm not sure about the legal situation with the in-game music, so it's better to be safe and turn it off completely. In my near 3 hours of gameplay, I didn't see a lot of dinos. The only ones I saw were Parasaur, Velociraptors, Dilophosaurus, Triceratops, and Spinosaurus. The much advertised Rex that you can ride seems to be hiding from me. The map appears to be mainly filled with Parasaurs and Trikes. The loading images appear to be generated with AI and don't represent the game content right now. Once you move away from the beach in the forests and hills, it's like a ghost town. So if you want to have a dino survival game instead of just a survival game, rather stay on the beach and be a beach bop. The resource gathering is not the only thing you have to do in the game. You have to craft and build. The fact that Athos is rocking an engram system that is almost identical to ARK's is a little bit sus. I like the idea that engram and level points can be spent on either engrams or stat boost, but not on both. Finally, I can be the weak nerd that I am. Because the progression system is just like ARK's in the beginning, you don't have to dig around and you can proceed in a similar way. You can use your pickaxe and your axe on all materials, just like in ARK, and you get the expected different resources, just like in ARK. When you kill animals, you loot the inventory and you get resources. From what I've seen, the only animal resources are chitin, meat, and hide. The combat system fits well into the overall feeling of lacking fluidity. Attacking with a spear is done in a way that would likely dislocate your shoulders and dislocate your elbows in real life. Fighting with a bow and arrow is easier, mainly because the arrow has no arrow drop. In melee combat, you're often pushed into the dino smash, and when dinos fight each other, there are often funny bugs with the game physics. As for building, I can't really say much except that I couldn't rotate my building parts. The available building parts are essentially the same as in ARK. And you're now probably wondering why I spent 3 hours in this game if this is essentially the majority of the game content. I'll show you. I found a bug with a sleeping bag. And it's great as an emetic if you have motion sickness issues, but if you can control it more precisely, it's a fantastic flying device. So honestly, this is how I spent most of my game time, trying to get better at flying with a sleeping bag. Now onto my conclusion, and most importantly, how close is this game to ARK and what's my assessment? Generally, I would not recommend the game in its current stage. It's not because it's a small indie developer or because it has these bugs, but more because many things in this game are not developed by the developer. The dinos are from an asset store, which isn't that bad initially. Small studios and solo developers can benefit from this. But then there's the UI, which also isn't custom made but is created by a user an ARK fan, for your university project and present it to the public 7 years ago. However, when it comes to the general structure of the game, items have their own icons, which is fine, but they're almost identical to the ARK objects. Some of the item descriptions have been copied one-to-one directly from ARK. And the items I found in here are a mix of ARK items and Primitive Plus items. And especially when it comes to copying content directly from the game itself that you're trying to imitate and to approach its player base, that's where it stops for me. Like, I love supporting small games and small developers. My channel was based on playing indie games back in the days. But I want to see a game that has a heart and a dream behind it, and not just an attempt to copy a successful concept. I will keep an eye on Athos and hope that the developer puts a little bit more work into it. I hope he removes everything directly copied from ARK and tries to give the game its unique spin and its own soul. The potential to create a new genre based on ARK's gameplay. It exists, but not if it's just the worst copy of the original. That's my opinion about Athos, however you want to call it. And let me know in the comment what you're thinking. I think it was interesting to see because we have a 5.2 game here, even though it does not really feel like a 5.2 game. But overall, I hope that the game kind of finds its own way and can help establishing dino survival as a genre for everyone who may not be happy with ARK and tries to find alternatives. But the way it is right now, I cannot really recommend it. Thanks for watching!